I'm live. This is Math 60, section 4.3, page 2, or page dos. And we are going further into the heart of darkness towards the Thunderdome. And for right now, the second page is still equalities with absolute value. And just to be annoying, the very first problem is a seriously twisted mess. So I could tell you, I'm putting it in the middle because it's so important. I could tell you a lot of things about the world, but one thing that I will tell you is that absolute value answers will always be positive. So that's going to help us with what's going to happen in this one. And it's possible you already see this. You may be screaming at the screen, hey, wait, I see something interesting. And I will say, yes, you may see something interesting, but let me catch up and see something interesting too. So what I'm going to do is just like with the previous one, I've got absolute value, but I've got this 2 times the absolute value of x plus 4 equals -3. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide the whole left side by 2 and the whole right side by 2, and so that I get just the absolute value. -3 over 2 is either -3 halves. If you prefer, it's -1.5. That would be fine as well. Now, this is the thing that's annoying. If you set your brain on automatic, you would not notice this. But this is an absolute value equals a negative number. And if you notice that right off the bat, you say, oh, there's no solution. It's not possible for an absolute value to equal negative. Now, how will you notice this happening? You won't. And that is why this is one of the hardest subjects to learn and to teach. And so I would just say, be gentle with yourself when you're going through the homework. Ask lots of questions. If you hit a problem that WebAssign's like, nope, you got it wrong, send me a text. Say, hey, help me, and I will come and do my best to explain things, because this is going to take a lot of work and a lot of paying attention. But you will get it. I have faith. You guys are brilliant and so amazingly smart. And let's go to the next problem. Okay. Further and further into the heart of darkness. Am I suggesting that math is war? Possibly, possibly. Okay, the problem as I see it is 4 times the absolute value of x minus 3 plus 2 equals 3. Here's the thing. This is the way we're going to approach it. We need to not isolate the x, because there's no way to get the x. The x is stuck inside an absolute value. This is like frozen inside of ice, inside of a glass case, inside of an egg, inside of a nest at the top of the tallest tree. This is serious Russian fairy tale sort of stuff going on here. Basically, we cannot isolate x. What we can do, though, is we can isolate the absolute value. So I've got a 4 times the absolute value plus 2. Following the steps we would follow with an equality or regular old equation, I'm going to subtract 2 from both sides. I get 4 times the absolute value of x minus 3 equals 1. And then I'm going to divide both sides by 4. And end up with the absolute value of x minus 3 equals 1/4. Now, oh, sorry, you couldn't see all of that. Oh, I always get excited about the math and then forget to show you. Here we go. 4 times the absolute value of x minus 3 equals 1. Divide both sides, the whole side by 4 over here, divide the whole side by 4 over here, and this is what I've got. Now the absolute value is isolated. As soon as I've got the absolute value by itself, now I can do the this or that. Either x minus 3 equals 1/4, or x minus 3 equals, what was it? You're right, -1/4. So I'm going to add 3 here. Now, you can be a cynic, or you can do what they're actually asking you to do. To be honest, you could write it as 3 1/4 and be done. But I think WebAssign may actually make you write this as, because it's 1/4 plus 3 is 3 and 1/4. So it may actually ask you, I'm not sure, 3 times 4 is 12 plus 1 is 13/4. You may have to write it as an improper fraction. I'm not sure. Now, on this one, there's no way to be cynical or jaded about it. You're going to have to do all the work because it's 3 minus 1/4. Yay. Don't we love math? Isn't math awesome? So we get 11/4. Now, the way to avoid some of the grief in this one would be to work this problem out. And I don't see any reason why not to. Instead of having 1/4, make it 0.25, because I think both sides here would be a lot easier with decimals than with fractions. So that's an option. You could just do it that way. But I thought I'd just do it with fractions because I don't know. I've been trained to go for the pain. And we get 2 answers. And let me try to be an actual professional and put them in order. I got so excited on the first page, I put them in backwards order, which is, kind of, it'll just be a secret between the two of us. I'm not going to re-record the video and write them the other way around. Okay, awesome. We got one more problem to go. At this point, it would be perfectly reasonable for you to be throwing things at your video screen because we've just set an absolute value equal to another absolute value. And it was perfectly reasonable to assume that the world will end at this point. 2 absolute values, you might as well just throw in the towel, right? But surprisingly enough, the sun will keep rising, by which I mean the earth will keep turning and the sun will appear to rise even though the earth is actually circling the sun. Well, it's not even a circle, it's ellipsing the sun, So I've got 2 sets of absolute value. And the really cool thing, because there are only 2 options, either they're both positive or they're both negative. So that's one option. Either they match or one is positive and the other one is negative, in which case they're opposites. So believe it or not, if you've got 2 absolute values like this, you either do 2x minus 3 equals x plus 5 or 2x minus 3 equals the opposite of x plus 5. Now, why do I put the opposite on this side? I don't know. I read left to right, so that's one reason. You could put the opposite on this side. If you put the opposite on both sides, they end up being the same. So then we're back over here. So just pick one side and put a minus on it. I don't really care which one it is. I think traditionally we do the right side, but again, you could choose to do it on the left. Just put in one minus. So let's go over here. 2x minus 3 equals x plus 5. Let me subtract x from both sides. I get x minus 3 equals 5 plus 3, x equals 8. Well, that's funny. My mouth said 8, but my pen said 5. Brilliant, because, fun times. Let me just fix this. That's the weirdest looking 8, but add 3 to both sides, x equals 8. Over here, I get a slightly longer problem because I have to change the signs. This one is the hard one. Now, let me point something out before you lose it. Well, maybe you've already lost it, in which case, hopefully you've come back and found it again, and perhaps we'll lose it again. I know in math, I've lost it many, many times, and then you find it. The really cool thing is, if you just ignore all the absolute values and just solve the problem as if there was no absolute value to begin with, you get half the problem. It's just this one that's weird. So it's either there are no absolute values or one of them has a minus sign. Try to, if you can remember, it's just one has a minus or nobody is different. It kind of is helpful. Okay, now I'm going to add x to both sides. 3x minus 3 equals negative 5. Let me add 3 to both sides. Let's see, I'm running out of room. So I think I get 3x equals negative 2 or x equals negative 2/3. So my 2 possibilities are x equals negative 2/3 or x equals 8. Notice that normally we're expecting 2 answers, It is actually possible that you will get just one answer. That does happen sometimes, but most of the time we're expecting two answers, or again, the possibility that we were really jerks about it and we gave you a problem that's not possible. Okay, woohoo. Let me put it back on this one so you can see that last one. And I will see you further into the heart of darkness with page 3. There we go, coming up soon. Woohoo.